Welcome back to Ozarks Live. Bruce Porter joins us now for this week's Dollars and Cents segment, sponsored by the Resource Center. Thanks for coming in.
Good to be here.
You.
Yep.
All right, we are talking about retirement unknowns. This is a bit of a continuing conversation that we're having. And when we left off, Bruce, last time, we were right here on number 4, longevity and mortality risk. What does that even mean?
Well, when you're talking about longevity, mortality, number one fear people have is outliving their money.
Right.
It's spending too much too quick in retirement, and then at an older age, not having enough for increasing needs. What we've seen is as we get older, our needs go up. Maybe it's cost of living alone, but it's usually some type of a health care situation, assisted living or in-home health care or something like that. Another thing to consider is the death of a spouse and the impact that can have not only on taxation, because you go from married filing jointly to filing single, but you also, most of the time, lose a pension or Social Security benefit. So you've got to consider the effect that's going to have on your income and the spendable amount of money that you have every month. People don't often think about that, but it does have a detrimental effect.
Yeah, if you've ever spoken to a financial advisor, you'll see the two, income is coming in, one drops off because they die,
Boom.
Unfortunately, and then this one has to keep going.
That's
so exactly
right.
What you said, it's scary.
Decreasing leverage of cash. So we touched on that last week on the sequence of returns. So if you have a decreasing balance and you have a need of sustainable, systematic income, if you're drawing the same income out and your accounts are exposed to risk, then that can have a detrimental effect on balance and also on the amount of time that it takes to recover. When you consider the recovery period for an account in an uncertain market, creates a lot of concern in today's volatility and political environment that we're dealing with.
It does, and when sometimes people of retirement age, later age, can't just go out and get a second job or a job because they just are not in any, they don't have the capacity to do that. Exactly.
They may
All
not
right.
have a desire to do that.
They may not. And of course, if you don't have to, if you plan well, maybe you won't have to, but there's always the unknowns. What else?
So that kind of sums it up. So we have to consider investment risk when it comes to our bucket of money that we have to draw from. We're telling our money, go to work for us, take care of me the rest of my life. So we have to consider the investment risk aspect. Inflation is the unknown. We have to be mindful that probably cost of living is going to increase, as well as healthcare costs. It's an unknown number. Long-term care costs alone are going up increasingly high
exponentially,
all the time.
Yeah,
exponentially. Longevity, mortality risks that we've covered. Public policy, the changing Medicare environment, the changing Social Security environment. How strong is Social Security and how long will it last? That's been a conversation for 10 years. It hasn't gone away, and there is more and more and more stress on Social Security. Future tax increases, things that we need to be mindful of are the possibility that property tax will increase, income tax will increase, and let's don't forget sales tax. That affects us when we're on a fixed income.
It does.
All of those things we have to consider.
What do we do about it?
You call the Resource Center. Have no fear, the Resource Center is here.
You heard it right here. All right, so when you plan, like we talked about on this program so many times, if you plan ahead, you can at least maybe lessen the blow of some of these things coming at you.
That's right.
You get good advice and you go from there, but you don't go without a plan.
That's right. Have a plan.
Okay, how do people reach you?
882-1800, or you can reach us online, resourcecenterinc.com.
Okay, very good. Bruce Porter, thank you. Good to see you.
See you next week.
Good advice as always. Be right back.